Greetings, summoners, and welcome to another cast. I am Richard, aka Roran.
And I am Richard, aka Prokari Wet, and today we have a special matchup. The boys themselves. We have Daisuke, a friend of Rex, and also Dango's, someone who has been very vocal in the unofficial Battle Spirits Saga community Discord, cooking up decks like King Charles with Axebinder. I believe Daisuke and Dango went to high school along with Rex. But yeah, we have Daisuke on one side and Rex Los Dos Mendoza on the other side. Also, an amazing player. Plays second in the first Pro Tour Championship ever for Battle Spirits Saga and is on the rise. Richard, would you like to explain the Los Dos aspect?
It's just something we give him a lot of hell at locals.
Yep,
He got
second best.
he's the second best, at least was. He got like 27th at Tulsa, but it's
But we
fine.
don't count that
We
one.
don't count it. It's not a pro tour.
It's not a Pro Tour.
Okay.
Anyways, let's get started. So, we have Rex over there with D Boys as his cores and a Seal of Orichalcos as his soul core. Some very interesting tech. I personally have thought of using Yu-Gi-Oh cards as core cards myself, so it's really awesome to see Rex implementing the D Boys.
Now I'm curious. Did you catch what decks they were playing for this match?
I believe Rex is playing a green deck. I don't know. It does have Swift components. I don't know if it's green aggro. I think it's more like a green tempo deck. And I believe Daisuke here is playing purple.
Yeah, he has his
Might be
purple
the
list.
Nemesis mid range.
Yeah, he's typically played and stuck with purple throughout locals.
Yep, from white aggro to purple. I believe the one spicy tech Daisuke does have in his deck is he does run a spirit known as Palladion.
Looks like
Imperial Knight God Avalo Palladion. For those of you who don't know, this is a 7 cost with 3 reduct that, when destroyed, allows you to select one of your opponent's spirits and remove 7 of its cores and place them into the reserve. I can confidently say, unless you're playing against green or yellow,
ooh.
no spirit will have that many cores on it.
So Rex playing down the ramp mushroom and immediately gets answered by Beldegor.
Yep, seems like that is the answer these days. We've seen Daisuke's hand, Deadly Balance, Mordred, Absolute
Worker
Ice
Ant-Man.
Shield, and I believe in Aglavale. I personally would have saved the Beldegor because if I know I'm against green, they are going to play the Worker Ant-Man, and you want to get rid of this card as soon as you can.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Daisuke does have Deadly Balance.
Plus, the mushroom stats are abysmal. It doesn't really make any threatening moves.
Yeah, but we see
Warrant.
here Daisuke opting for the Depths turn 2 play, and it gets immediately Burning Force. Seems to be Battle Spirits Saga these days. Depths gets played, Burning Force gets played right after. Because if
Or
you
you just
don't,
lose the game.
you just lose the game. Exactly. So Rex already gaining 2 cores off the Worker Ant-Man, but there comes the answer, the Mordred. A card I absolutely love and hate at the same time. I hate playing this card, and I hate going against it. But, you know, sometimes I like to give it love if I get the max cores
So
when I play it on the win summon.
I'm a fan of Beldegor, even in like my Nova deck. That Nova deck that topped the top 16 in Monroeville recently was running Mordreds for what I assume to be the same reason. It's a very interesting, like, one or the other.
Yeah, and unironically is a good
Ooh,
anti-aggro
another
card.
Worker Ant-Man.
Yep, and we see the tap, and it looks like Rex is going to swing for another core. So he is ramping away. That is plus 4 cores in surplus. He really wants to display his D-boys this game. But yeah, Mordred is unironically pretty good for aggro, being able to kill 2 spirits if they decide to go wide. But it also runs the risk of when you summon it and you swing to kill 2 spirits, you do lose a blocker if Mordred's your only spirit. So there is also that caveat. Unless it gets Deadly Balance and you can use it to resurrect Beldegor, which I
Daisuke
believe...
Absolute Ice Shield there?
I think he did. I believe I Worker Ant-Man did ship for 2.
And then,
So I think
yeah. But he's at what, 3 or 4? I can't quite see the top of his.
I believe he's at 2. There's no reason why he would do it at
True.
3. But very interesting if he did do the play early. Now, Emerald Pincer is actually a really great card that Tim Rivera employed in his top 8 deck in Tulsa. When summoned, select one of your opponent's spirits and exhaust it. So it's basically functions similar to a Valchemist in that it does remove a spirit out of play in the attack step, so that it can't block unless you use Suppression or Infinity Shield, or Regain to refresh it. But being able to burn a resource from your opponent to allow it to block is huge. And here
There's a
comes
scope
the
owl.
Swift Owl. Yeah, the Scope Owl, right. Very strong card. Thankfully, it is a promo. But it does have a swift effect, and when destroyed by opponent, your opponent selects one of their refreshed spirits and exhausts it. So, pretty much at the minimum, if it gets destroyed, it can block 2 attacks or prevent 2 attacks from going through. You see the Mushtarantula coming out, ripping a card from Daisuke's hand, and Higumaru, a very interesting tech. Richard, do you have any idea why Rex might be playing this card?
It's amazing. It exhausts everything. Sometimes.
Sometimes, yes. When destroyed, your opponent selects one of their spirits for each of your other 4,000 or more BP and exhausts them. Now, granted, if you guys haven't read the Q&A, Higumaru does make your opponent choose, and your opponent could choose an already exhausted spirit because it doesn't have that keyword select refresh spirits. So, pretty lackluster effect in my opinion, unless your entire board is
Yeah,
4K
I
plus.
think Daisuke's dead here. He has 2 Deadly Balance in hand and a Quardrain, which I do
Yep.
not think quite cuts it.
He does have Beldegor, so if he's able to, in
That's
a
true.
way... Oh, we do see the Core Drain. Opts for the Mushtarantula.
He could potentially swing with Nemesis, sack the Mordred, trigger the get Beldegor back. But
Yeah,
no,
so he has to decide if he's going to draw or kill off one of Rex's spirits here.
yeah, swing with the Mordred, and then he's going to kill it off to draw 2 and bring back Beldegor. Keep 2 blockers on board.
Yep. And per Scope Owl's effect, and the reason why this card is amazing is that it is not tied to a level. So when it is destroyed, your opponent selects one of their refresh spirits and exhausts it. So there goes my
Oh,
hand there. Rex did call for a judge ruling. But yeah, it's not tied to a level. So if it is killed by Mordred here, Nemesis will get exhausted. So Daisuke opting to swing with Nemesis first instead to
draw the
auto
2.
sack. Yeah. So he's opting for the draw 2, hoping to find some
Oh, a
defensive cards.
third Deadly Balance.
A third Deadly Balance. That is correct. So in a way, he does have a way to prevent himself from being game tier.
Yeah, but that would involve sacking his Nemesis Knight.
That is true. Let's see if Rex takes the life or he decides to block. But Beldegor does come out here.
What's the 4th card? Is that Lamorak or Aglavale?
I believe that is... I actually don't know. If it's light blue, it is Lamorak. If it is dark, it is... Yep, it is a Lamorak. So we got 3 Deadly Balances and 1 Lamorak in hand. Alright, so Rex opts to take the life. Very smart, as expected from second best player in the world. Some big thinking here. Daisuke is deciding if he wants to swing, but he go ahead and passes to Rex.
Tokiwa.
And Tokiwa comes out. Very interesting choice. I feel like most people who see this card first glance decide not to play it because the level 1 effect is essentially useless since no one really is playing Void Lords. But the second and third effect is actually pretty amazing. Being able to tap one of your opponent's refresh spirits when it attacks, and also being able to remove all but 3 cores from Tokiwa if it's at level 3 to get another swing.
Right, first deadly balance goes down, Scope Owl
Yep.
dies, and I presume it's going to be the Beldegor. No, it's the Nemesis Knight.
Yeah, so you could get the
Oh, the
second
second
top
kill, that's right.
effect. Yep. And the
Uh,
beautiful thing is, Nemesis does allow your opponent to
yeah,
choose one of their spirits and destroys it. Or I should say, unfortunate. Usually, the Nemesis player wants to be able to choose it, but Nemesis is a walking deadly balance if it gets popped.
second deadly balance, and
Yep.
third deadly balance.
And third deadly balance, we got a board wipe, but Daisuke seems to only
Oh, but
have
the
one card in
Swift
hand.
Bird.
Yep, and the Swift Bird comes down, and that goes game 1 to Rex. Swift is such a beautiful mechanic, being able to play offensively and defensively. The only caveat is you have to use cores in your reserve only for both the core placement and the summoning costs. Tell me, Richard, have you considered playing Scope Owl or any of the Swift units in your Nova deck?
Um, hasn't really come up. Some of them are kind of expensive. I know there's like, what is it? The Boar, or was it Leaf Wolf that is Swift?
It is the Leaf Wolf.
Like maybe it's just not much room for it. It kills your reductions.
Yeah, it does. It does. I feel like Scope Owl might be a choice if you're struggling with aggro, but I think most Star Dragon players either play Flamefish or Pegasus for that.
Yeah, and like once you don't struggle for aggro very long. If you hit your big bang and you drop a Nova, the Scope Owl might buy you an attack, but there are a lot of cheaper ways to do that.
That's true. So game 2 is underway. I believe Daisuke has a Nemesis and a Mordred in hand. Nemesis, Mordred, and Dragonaga as a starting, and I can't really see what the last card is, but it
He
looks
opted
peculiar.
the Mull.
He did opt the mole.
Is
This
it
looks like a
Depths,
much better
Core
hand.
Drain? Is that Aglavale or
And yeah, Depths, Core Drain, Aglavale, and
and
Ice
Burning
Shield. That
Force?
is honestly a very, very good start for Daisuke. That is probably, honestly, a dream hand. Only thing that could make it better is possibly having Dragonaga Assassin for the turn 2 play, but Rex coming out swinging using
I have no idea what that
Emerald
card is called.
Pincer.
Emerald Pincer.
Emerald Pincer. There we go. I just call it Hercules Beetle. I'm pretty sure it's a Hercules Beetle, but Emerald Pincer, when
Like,
summon, exhaust, swing. That's basically how it reads.
yeah, some of these card names can be quite crazy.
Indeed. So Daisuke opts to block with the Aglavale, and Burning Force also came out the immediate next turn. These turns are going fast. Both of these players are experienced. They've played against each other many times as playtest partners. So we are going to try our best to catch up. But a Beldegor does come down, pops the Emerald Pincer.
Arcana
Joker comes
Joker.
out,
Okay.
bringing Daisuke down to, I believe, 1 HP or 2. Maybe there's a port
See.
hidden back there. I know Daisuke did have Ice Shield, I believe, so it should be 2 HP.
He's at 2 or 3, I believe.
So Daisuke going for a swing here. As long as that Depths is able to write out, Daisuke will be in a great position. He also has Burning Force in hand as well. So
Thing is,
Rex,
he doesn't have any cores. Rex could summon 3 creatures and possibly just kill him.
that is true. Rex does have about 9 cores to work with, so let's see if he has enough low-cost spirits.
I do see a Leaf Wolf in hand.
Quite possibly, yes, the
Smog.
Smag comes out. So for those of you who do not know what Smag is, it is essentially Omni Reduction. You treat Smag as every color symbol in this game. And when it's summoned, at level 1, you could draw a card if you have fewer cards in your hand than your opponent has in theirs. If you decide to level up to level 2, which Rex did not do, you could also place a core from the void into your trash. Pretty costly unit, but having that universal reduction does help. And it actually forces the Burning Force out of Daisuke. So Daisuke looking to go on the offensive here, it seems. Beldegor at 4k, Camelot at 1k, but with the Soul Core. He's going for the full swing, so the only way to explain this is that he is at 2 HP with Ice Shield, right?
Yeah, and he has the cores to pay for it now. I can't quite... Oh, that's a mushroom?
It is Hunger Tree.
Hunger
So
Tree.
it is a cost 4 that goes up to 6,000 BP at 3 cores and 4k at 1 core. When destroyed by opponents, your opponent selects a card and discards it from their hand. So a very annoying card and also a Beldegor target.
Does pop
But
the
we
ice
see
shield.
the Ice Shield here. Yep. And Rex opted to summon Leaf Wolf as well to make sure that he does have a blocker before the Ice Shield is forced out. So Daisuke in a pretty tricky situation. We do see
Another
Depths
Depths.
and Burning Force. Understandable play, and he's going for the swing here.
Ooh. I mean, I guess there's nothing really else you can hope for in his situation.
I'm genuinely curious because Leaf Wolf is at 2k. I guess Rex just wants to block here. Granted, Daisuke will be able to get the draw, but the Leaf Wolf will die and will trade with the Camelot. Now the question is, does Daisuke swing with the Beldegor and force the Ice Shield? Looks like he's electing not to do it, thinking about what options he has. And he elects to pass. Yep. So at this point, Rex just has to hope that an Ice Shield or any disruptive magic doesn't get played. But All Deed comes out, being able to ramp a core and also exhaust a spirit. And it seems the Hunger Tree is going to swing for game. Does Daisuke have an answer?
Core drain?
He does.
Core theft,
Core
rather.
theft.
Oof.
So we're going to see him discard his whole hand just to answer the Hunger Tree.
And then have to discard the Maduke after.
Yep, and it looks like Daisuke is operating with no hand. And it looks like the scoop goes
GG's.
through.
Wow.
Yep. So just like in Battle Spirits, I believe, green is supposed to counter purple. We see a huge representation here. Unlucky for Daisuke that he just kept getting cards ripped out of his hand and he couldn't really ride out Netherworld Depths comfortably, considering Rex was constantly on the offensive push.
Yeah, it's just trying to establish that depths against an aggro deck is always going to be quite difficult. I know versus like white aggro, a lot of depths players will just board out the depths completely. There just isn't time to play it.
Yep, it is an impressive card, but if you can put the pressure, then they absolutely cannot answer it. Did you go against any decks, green decks, at Tulsa?
I did against one ant deck that was running axe spiders. It was kind of an amalgamation of green cards.
Gotta love it when they sprinkle an axe spider, but thankfully at our locals we don't do that. But yeah, that was green versus purple, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
Deck list will be in the description below, and we will see you another time.